Grounds are well kept. So you see the holes in the wall still from Tet.
The Imperial City is a walled enclosure within the citadel of the city of Hue, the former imperial capital of Vietnam during the Nguyen dynasty. It contains the palaces that house the imperial family, as well as shrines, gardens, and villas for mandarins. Constructed in 1804 under Emperor Jia Long as a new capital, it mostly served a ceremonial function during the French colonial period. After the end of the monarchy in 1945, it suffered heavy damage and neglect during the Indochina Wars through the 1980s. The Imperial City was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993 as part of the complex of Hue monuments and is undergoing restoration. In June 1802, after more than a century of division and the defeat of the Tay Son dynasty, Nguyen An ascended the throne of a unified Vietnam and proclaimed himself Emperor Jia Long. With a nation now stretching from the Red River Delta to the Mekong Delta, Emperor Jia Long moved the capital from the northern Tang Long, current Hanoi, to Hue.
So I like you'll see a lot of the holes in the wall from the battle. See that big one right there?
The ancestral seat of the Nguyen lords. Jia Long looked to Confucianism and Chinese models of statecraft as the best modes of authority, and with this ideology, he ordered the construction of a palace complex based on Beijing's Forbidden City in Hue. Geomancers were consulted as to a propitious location site for the new city, and construction began in 1803.
Repairing the wall. I guess it's constantly under repairs here, but here's these guys. They've been repairing the walls since the 90s, I guess. Well, not just the wall, but all the walls after Tet. They had to repair a lot of the items here. But yeah.
Thousands of workers were ordered to build the walled citadel and ringing moat, measuring some 6.2 miles long. The original earthwork was later reinforced and faced with brick and stone, resulting in 6 feet 7 inch thick ramparts.
Bruce Christensen here with the history of MACV-SOG, SOG Tours. Here we are in Hawaii at the Imperial Palace, also known as the Citadel. This is where the Imperial family lived for hundreds of years. This was actually the first capital before with the Hanoi. This is the site of the Big Tet Offensive, 1968, I believe. Pretty sure 68. Marines were involved, Army was involved, Arvins were involved. So what happened is a lot of the NVA, VC were held up in the Citadel in different buildings, and at first they would not allow the Marines and Army and such to bomb it, planes, helicopters, artillery, etc. But too many of our guys were being killed, wounded, so they took off the gloves and allowed them to start hitting some of the targets inside, which destroyed a lot of the buildings. But then what happened is, years later, they decided to rebuild Imperial Palace, and it's been ongoing since. I took some footage over there, them rebuilding some of the walls. But if you look into some of the footage of the walls itself, you can see the shell marks that hit the walls and blew out some of the bricks and what have you. And now these walls are, 2 to 3 feet thick. So a lot of repairs here. The place is amazing. You see the place behind me in the back, and up there, not only is it kind of a wall, that's the first stand, but they have cannons there. That's where they would fight off the invading hordes at way back in the day. And there's all around perimeter is moats, so it'd be very hard to get into the Citadel itself. And then of course there's cannons and stuff all over the place here. But yeah, we'll be going inside, take a look at the Imperial Palace.
This differs from Beijing's Forbidden City, which faces true south. Rather than concentric rings centered on the emperor's palace, the imperial residence itself is offset toward the southeast side of the citadel. A second set of tall walls and a second moat were constructed around this imperial city, within which many edifices were added in a series of gated courtyards, gardens, pavilions and palaces. The entire complex was the seat of power until the imposition of the French protectorate in the 1880s. Thereafter it existed mostly to carry on symbolic traditions until the Nguyen dynasty was ousted in 1945. With the proclamation of independence of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. The abdication ceremony of Emperor Bao Dai took place at the Imperial City on August 30, 1945. In its prime, the Purple Forbidden City had many buildings and hundreds of rooms. Once vacated, it suffered from neglect, termite ravages, and inclement weather, including a number of cyclones. Most destructive were man-made crises, as evidenced by the bullet holes still visible from the military conflicts of the 20th century. Major losses occurred in 1947 when the Viet Minh seized the citadel in February. The French led counterattack operations where they laid siege and engaged in a 6-week ensuing battle which destroyed many of the major structures. The core of the city, including the imperial palace, was burned. The citadel came under fire again in the early morning of January 31, 1968. As part of the Tet Offensive, a division-sized force of the People's Army of Vietnam and Viet Cong soldiers launched a coordinated attack on Hue, seizing most of the city. During the initial phases of the Battle of Hue, due to Hue's religious and cultural status, United States Marines troops were ordered not to bomb or shell the city, for fear of destroying the historic structures. But as casualties mounted in house-to-house fighting, these restrictions were progressively lifted and the fighting caused substantial damage to the imperial city. Viet Cong troops occupied some portions of the citadel while South Vietnamese troops occupied others. And Allied warplanes targeted the anti-aircraft guns the Communists had mounted on the citadel's outer towers. Out of 160 buildings, only 10 major sites remain after the battle, such as the Tai Hoa and Canton temples, the Mu and Hien Lam Cac. The city was made a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993 as part of the complex of Hue monuments. The buildings that remain are being restored and preserved. The latest and so far largest restoration project was planned to conclude in 2015. The grounds of the Imperial City are protected by fortified ramparts 1.2 by 1.2 miles and ringed by a moat. The water in the moat is routed from the Hung River through a series of sluice gates. This enclosure is the Citadel. Inside the Citadel is the Imperial City with a perimeter wall some 1.6 miles in length.
Would say, okay, you were a duke, you were a count, you were a vice count, whatever it was, in the order of the book and its importance. But apparently, according to this, that at some point, because the French, they had war reparations, they destroyed the books and paid them in gold. And there went the history.
Access to the innermost enclosure was restricted to the imperial family. The Great Gate to enter Forbidden City with 3 doors, of which the main door is only for the emperor. Currently, this royal gate has become a ruin due to being burned during the Viet Minh resistance campaign in February 1947. This building is being restored, expected to be completed in 2028. The middle gate accessed only by emperor.
So as we go on this tour, we learn more and more about the Imperial Palace, we just learned that they've been in war with the French since the 1800s, probably even prior. This establishment here was started and built in the 1700s, and but they just we just read they had to pay restitutions to the French after battles with the French, but that was going on for forever. So the thing about Hawaii, a lot of people call it Hawaii, but the Vietnamese call it Hawaii, is that a lot of the food that's in Hawaii was influenced by when the emperor ruled this area. The locals would have to come up with these dishes, clams from the Perfume River there, little tiny small clams. They made dishes out of that. Bombaway came from this area. So they said the emperor had 200 wives and tons of concubines, and then he would have tables set up for everyone. They would have to bring thousands of dishes and lay it out for everyone to eat, and they would have to keep coming up with all these new dishes to please the kings and the emperor and his family and his staff and etc. But yeah, so it's an amazing place. You get a chance when you come to Hawaii, you need to come see it. Cost us 2K, 200,000 dong. Let me calculate that for you real quick. 200,000 dong. $1.78. You can't beat that. So when you come to Vietnam, you need a converter. I think the best converter, the easiest converter, you can download for free. It's called XC. I'll put a link below. That was the one I use. You click on it, whatever country you're in. Here's Vietnam. You put in the dong. That's what they use in Vietnam. And then you put in, translate to the U.S. price. That way you keep track of what you're eating. Yesterday in Quezon, we had lunch, huge lunch, for $4. $4 a person. It was super good. And but there was 5 of us, so you punch in what the total bill was. It comes up to $20 or whatever. Then you say, okay, divided by 5, and it came up to like $4.
You throw it in those fountains
That's
and all
it.
that stuff, and your wishes come true. Well, his
wishes came true. All the just one money.
Well, there it goes. Woo.
Is this legal or illegal?
What's that?
Is it illegal?
What? Throw money?
Oh no,
Like
to take the money.
way- Yeah, to take the money from the fountain.
Well, yeah, because it's not yours.
Yeah.
It belongs to the palace.
So at the Imperial Palace, having a tiger beer, because guess what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Cheers.
The garden is famous for its Van Tu Hoi Lang structure, which has a meandering corridor shaped like the letter swastika in Buddhism. Located in the center running out to 4 sides, the 4 corners of this corridor, there are 4 small architectural works, including 2 houses and 2 halls. It was built in 1828 during the reign of Emperor Min Mang. Kien Trung Palace is a palace of the Nguyen dynasty in the Forbidden City, Hue. Built by Emperor Khai Dinh in 1921 to 1923 at the same time as his tomb was built to serve as the emperor's living space in the royal palace. It was later also the place where his son Emperor Bao Dai and the royal family lived and worked. Also it was the main workplace of the court until the dynasty ended in August 1945. Kien Trung Palace is located at the northernmost point of the axis running through the center of the Forbidden City. The style of the palace is a fusion of European styles including French architecture, Italian Renaissance architecture, and traditional Vietnamese architecture. The facade of the palace is decorated with colorful ceramic pieces that in front of the palace is a landscape garden, with 3 dragon-covered stairs leading up to the palace steps.
When I was at FOB1, my team, Rhode Island, we took a truck, we loaded it up, and they said, let's go eat by the Citadel. So we loaded up, we came down to the Perfume River, which is only, 12, 15 clicks from FOB1. And then we came across the bridge, but it was a pontoon bridge because the bridge had been blown out, but there was only one bridge at that time coming across the river. So we came across right here, a little ways from here, and by the Citadel. We came down toward to the right, which would have been east, down the on this side of the river. Then we came up, and there was a canal that goes up beside the old Citadel walls, the outer walls. So they took me to a place, a restaurant right there, and there was a lot of sampans all along the way, and the sampans were selling all kind of goods and wares and fruits and vegetables and all. And then we stopped at a place and ate food, and at that time the Citadel had been cleared, but we could still hear some firing going on in the area. And I was telling Bruce and others, we sat down and the team ordered chicken, and it was like a stew, and they had a chicken head. They presented me with a chicken head, and which was an honor. And I'm not, I didn't really care about eating the chicken head, so we had one of our team members who was a young guy, and so I took the chicken head with my chopsticks, and I said, I present this chicken head to Juan, or whatever his name was, because he has been a very good soldier and working real hard. And then they were ecstatic that I would pass on that honor to somebody else. And so then I got to eat some regular chicken.
So you said you were by a wall when you stopped?
They told me it was the back, and it was just like, kind of like this, but it backed up against the wall. But now I see, I see so many changes, and that would have had to have been further down.
Yeah.
But they had sampans all up in the, now if we go around that corner down there, I'm thinking maybe that's still a canal. But well, they had sampans all along the side of the canal.
This is definitely a canal, right?
Yeah, that's a canal that comes off the Perfume.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I wanted to come over here and kind of get an idea, but I know that's where it had to be. And then we had parked, and then we got back in our vehicles and went back to FOB1. So, yeah. But this is an outer wall right here of the Citadel, but the Citadel is maybe, what, a quarter of a mile away from the basic Citadel with the temple and all of that. Where we were at earlier.
The Citadel is huge. How big is it?
550 hectares. Well, so it's a pretty big place. Travel anymore. Yeah. Hey, look at this. Put a little offering in there.
Some old mango tree or something. Something else. Apocalypse Now. Tied in a knot.
Boom, boom. I sell you my sister, my brother.
Not very nice.
What is that? Oh hell, I don't know what that is.
Hey, Bruce Christensen here with the history of MACV-SOG, SOG Tours. I'm sitting right down the street from my hotel on the corner at this new IPA brewery. Well, it's a brewery, several different beers. They brew it right here in Vietnam. I think the guy has about 7 locations now, 7 or 8 locations throughout Vietnam. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about SOG Tours. SOG Tours is another aspect of the history of MACV-SOG. And what I do with SOG Tours is I bring people that are either SOG members, SOG family members, SOG enthusiasts, just anyone who enjoys the history of MACV-SOG in Vietnam. So the tours are based around the history of MACV-SOG, locations, however, there's so much more. There's seeing the different sites, eating the local foods, get into the environment, the culture, the beauty of Vietnam, so much more than just SOG related. Yes, we do go see SOG related places, SOG headquarters, safe houses, FOBs. We went up to Khe Sanh. We couldn't see the FOB3 there because it's not what it used to be, but we were at Khe Sanh, the location of FOB3. This tour I went with SOG member John Page, RT Rhode Island, RT Colorado, very active SOG member. He came with us and we just had a great time. Started on Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, saw some places here, went up to Da Nang, hung out there a couple days, and went up to Hawaii. Hawaii, we went to Khe Sanh, and then we went to a place called Lang Bay, which is right outside of Khe Sanh on the Lao border of Vietnam and Laos. There we saw Lang Bay, which was a Special Forces A camp that in 1968 was attacked by a large force of NVA tanks. The first time in the history of the war where they used the force of tanks to overrun a camp. And why it's SOG related is because they had to get SOG personnel to come and rescue the survivors. And Gilbert Secor, my father's friend, was one of those SOG members that went to Lang Bay to rescue the survivors. They all earned the Silver Star that night. There's a book called The Night of the Silver Stars or Tanks in the Wire. Really good books about the Battle of Lang Bay. Lost a lot of Americans and a lot more Indage, Blue Mountain Yards. But we did that. Been back to Da Nang. We saw Marble Mountain, FOB4. Met up with Schwan, who's he was South Vietnamese, lives in Da Nang. He was RT Idaho with Ken Bo Ray. So it's nice hanging out with him. And then also there's other things to do in Da Nang. You go to Monkey Mountain, that's where SOG guys trained. But there's so many other places to go. Hoi An, Sun World, just all kinds of places in Da Nang. The beach is great. Here in Saigon, you're gonna find it a little bit hotter, a little bit more busy, a lot more motorbikes, a lot more tourists, especially in District 1, caters around tourism. But there's a lot to do here. There's a lot of SOG history in Ho Chi Minh. But let me get back to SOG Tours is not just about SOG. Again, it's about you coming to Vietnam and indulging into the wonders of the people, the environment, the city, and the beauty of Vietnam. I invite you to come next year. It's going to be in February, not January. We ran into some rain. It's still the rainy season. So I'm going to push it back to January. So those who want to come, let me know. Let me know what you want to do. It's not just about me, where I want to go, or where I want to take you. It's about you coming here and saying, look, I was at CCN. Okay, let's go to CCN. Oh, I was at Con 2. Okay, we're going to go to Con 2. Or my father, he was at Con 2. Okay, let's go to Con 2 and see where the base was. Oh, my dad was at Bami Tuet. Or my dad was at Khe Sanh. Or my uncle, or my relative, or whoever was. Well, I read a bunch of books about John Stryker Meyer Tilt, and I liked FOB1. I want to see what that was like for him. And John Walton and and Lynn Black Jr., so many great SOG guys were at these different camps. So if you're just a guy reading about SOG and you're fascinated by it, come to SOG Tours. I'll contact me. I'll get you all the information. Not only do I give you the information, but I will tell you step by step a guide, what you need to bring, everything as far as your passport goes, your medical, what items you need in your bag, what to carry, what not to carry. I will go over all that. And you will just have a short list of things that you will need to do before you come to Vietnam. And it's, I invite your family. Yeah, it's gonna be a wonderful time next year, and I hope you can come and see the wonders of Vietnam. Xin chào. Yeah. And the people, so great. They're all friendly. They all say hi. Xin chào, hello. A couple words to learn as you come here. Xin chào is a big one. Comb your hair means no. So when someone comes to try to sell you something, just comb. A few other words, but you don't need a whole dictionary because you have your phone, translator. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next year at SOG Tours.